Okay. This was definitely not here when I was last at the greenhouse. Who could have even done this? You're not ready yet? Who is questioning the queen bee's capabilities? A show of hands? Anyone? Well, I think this is rather rude. I don't know who did that, but I don't appreciate them and... Please tell me you're joking. What? Hold on a second. The cry of Her Highness lingers in the silent whispers of her subjects. Find them. Prove that you're ready. Council of Bees? This is getting weirder by the second, and it's not the good kind of weird. What? Bees? You guys have a secret council and you didn't tell me? The cry of Her Highness. Find them. What is it even talking about? I'm so confused. From question mark, question mark, question mark. Well, that certainly is not much help. Secret messages on trees, hidden notes. I don't have time to figure out what this is right now, so we're just gonna put it to the side and circle back to it later. I mean, what's Interstellar SMP if it's not chaos, mystery, and fun? So, hello everybody, and welcome back to Interstellar SMP episode 6. Super happy to see you all here today, and we have a huge list of chores to do today. Just to recap last episode, we got so much accomplished. We did this giant museum mega build over here, we got one bridge over here and there, a lovely gazebo spawn point area, and lampposts. Last episode, we went really big. This episode, we're gonna go rather small and do a bunch of small simple tasks and get them out of the way because, once again, I've been procrastinating a lot. And to get myself all set up and organized, I actually made a wonderful list over here. So this is my to-do list. I did a today task list and just future ideas that I had that we could maybe put in the kingdom. Some future things that I think would be so fun to add in Honey Hills is an enchanting tower, barn and farming fields, bridges and pathways, and a dock area with boats and a lighthouse. I don't know, I just think that they would look so cool in our kingdom, and some of them, they are kind of repetitive, like bridges and pathways. We do have bridges and pathways, but I want to add even more of them. Also, certain things over here, like tower, we don't have any towers yet, but I was also thinking maybe eventually we'll get like some watchtowers set up and everything. I don't know, you know what, lots of things to think about. We'll see where the episode takes us and where the rest of the series will go as well. It's fine, this is all future stuff. This here is what we're looking at today, and it looks like a lot, but honestly, these things won't take too long, so I figure we can do them all this episode, or at least try to do the majority of them. We have two interiors to do. We have the museum over there, and we have this one right here, because this is looking very boring. It used to be my storage room, but because I moved it to the actual storage room that we have now, this is just kind of empty aside from my little bed here, and I think we can get something really adorable set up. Next on the list, decorations. I have a bunch of lampposts set up, which is really cool, but I'm thinking we could get some flower beds, maybe some fountains, some cute little ponds, just to spruce up the area. Ooh, and lighting up area, super important, because the lampposts, while they did help, they're not perfect. We're gonna have to do some small little adjustments here and there, maybe some like lights underneath some moss carpets and that kind of thing. Next, we have the cleanup board. Trees. Okay, let me show you. Over there, we have a dark oak forest, and it kind of scales up all of this area, and I'm not liking it too much, so I kind of want to replace it all with birch trees instead. I think it's going to look nicer with the vibe we have going. Ooh, and I also kind of want to do a little bit of a clear up over here because I have an idea of something I'd like to do. I have not really shown you guys this angle of the base, but we have an interesting layout here because this whole area is just sand, and honestly, I'm not really liking it. We also have this very interesting generation here, and I was originally going to cover it up, but I'm thinking, what if we just like maybe cover up the sides over here, and we make this some sort of like cute little pond area with some waterfalls. I think that would be much nicer. Honestly, I think when it comes to terraforming, working with the terrain rather than against it is for the better. So that's the goal, is to remove the sand, make this area look nice, and do a bit of tree chopping here just so I can see what I'm kind of working with so I can terraform it properly. Okay, next, storage. So last episode, I told you that my storage room was super clean and super awesome, which it was. And this one's not really clean up, but I had nowhere else to put it, so I just put it on this board here. Resources, there's certain resources that I'm lacking after building that giant structure over there, so we're gonna try and replenish our resources. Okay, next on the list, we have the bulletin board. This is a very temporary setup I have going on here. This is going to be the interior that we're going to do today, so I kind of need a different place to put it. So somewhere along the pathway, I thought it would be cute to do that. Okay, next, the mailbox. I was thinking that we should get a mailbox set up because a lot of people often give me gifts on the server, and I absolutely appreciate that. However, they have the tendency just to leave them wherever because I don't have like a designated zone for it. So I think implementing one would be a good idea. And what else do we have left? A well fountain. Okay, just more decorations I have here. And events, well, there are some events going on Interstellar SMP at the moment, so I was thinking we could just go ahead and take a little peek at them and see what's going on. And I think that covers pretty much everything, so I guess why don't I show you the area that I have selected for the little bulletin board area. So if we take a look over here, I have picked out this area to build the bulletin board. I think it was a good selection because I always happen to be walking by this pathway, so I'm gonna be always noticing the board and all the things I've written down on it. And of course, I have a few resources picked out. It's not gonna be too big, so luckily I didn't have to do too much gathering, but it's a decent amount to have a lovely board set up. Well then, I suppose let's get into it. That, my friends, is looking like a lovely finished bulletin board, and I think it fits the area really nicely. And now that we have an official place to put things, I think it's time we go ahead and move all those signs away from my starter house. Just going to break all these signs, and we're just going to move them to the newly built area. So on this board, I have two different sides. This one here is for the to-do stuff, the current need to be done tasks, and this side here is for the future ideas that are going to be later on. So let's just recopy everything that I had on earlier. There we go, everything's nice and organized. It's time to get on to the second task of the day, which I think is going to be the storage room, because I feel like I cannot get anything else done unless this is nice and proper. Ooh, and since I'm on the way here, I'd like to show you we actually have a naturally spawned pink sheep, which is really adorable and cool, so I'm just leaving it here for now until we get a proper place set up for it. Okay, no more distractions. We're actually gonna get things done today, so I'd like to show you the disaster that I have created, which is a lot of shulker boxes. But yeah, as you can see here, there's a lot going on. These ones here, I have just a bunch of gifts from my birthday party that was held on Interstellar SMP, which will be included in a future video. I just have to kind of come around to editing it since there's a lot that happened. And then these ones here are just, yeah, you know, typical me just dropping stuff up at the storage room and not putting it in its proper space. So that's what we're gonna have to deal with. The good news is that I have actually done a good job maintaining all the chests. It's only this shulker box disaster that I have to deal with. And with just a little bit of effort, I think that I can get this looking perfect once again. And there we have it, the storage room is completely cleaned up, and now we can see what we're working with, so we can move on to the next task of the day. Alright, next I'm thinking we'll try and do cleanup trees and resource gathering in one, since one of the kinds of resources that I do need is wood, so we can get our trusty axe and get chopping away. While I'm here, why not take a shield with me? After all, you can never be too careful in the dark oak forest. I mean, I've done a little bit of cleanup here technically, because this whole area here where the museum is used to be covered in birch trees and a bit of dark oak, but I do want to do a bit more clearing because I'm not fully satisfied with how it's looking yet. So the goal here is just to get rid of as many trees as I can and replace them with birch so it matches the rest of my area. So I guess let's get into it. Forest is looking a lot nicer this way, I feel. I didn't get rid of all the trees because, I mean, there's a lot of trees to get rid of, but I feel like this is an excellent start. And from doing this, I also got an insane amount of dark oak, so I think it's safe to say that I'm pretty good on resources as well. Of course, now that I think about it, I don't really use dark oak in my builds for this series, but I mean, I can always trade it to other players for blocks that I do need. Okay, we'll just pop all of this over here and get it out of the way, and we can move on to the next task on our list. And just to do a check, I still have plenty of birch wood, which is great. And do I have, yeah, I still have some oak as well, so I think we're okay on the resources. Look Look at me being a busy bee. Isn't that so nice to get all your tasks complete? It feels so amazing. Okay, so let's see. Cleanup can go away and resource gathering can go away. Let's do build a mailbox and just get out of the way. That should be rather simple. Alright, let's talk mailboxes. I was thinking that we could use a shulker box because honestly, that's the best way to actually have people drop things off. But unfortunately, they're not really the best shape for a mailbox. I feel like we can do a lot better. So I have an idea. Actually, it's not even my idea. This is my friend Kaitlyn's idea. So if you want, just go show her some love on her channel for being an amazing inspiration to me and friend as always. Okay, so shulker box. Next, I need a stone grinder. No. What is this block called? I'm blanking. What? Grindstone? Is that what it's called? Grindstone, I think. Grind. Okay, yes, it is grindstone. So, stone slab, 2 sticks, and 2 planks. Okay, I can do that. So the concept itself is pretty simple. I'm basically doing a shulker box upside down with a fence post on top, so that way I can still open the shulker box even though there's something on it, and then to finish it off, a grindstone on top. And I'm thinking that this is really looking pretty realistic for a mailbox, and I'm liking it a lot. Alright, mailbox has been complete, so now it is time to move on to the next thing on the list, which is going to be the decorations. So, I've picked out a bunch of different flowers and spruce items, and I'm thinking that we can start off by making some flower beds. Currently, at the moment, we only have 2. This one right over here, and then I have this kind of flower thing going along the wall. So I'm thinking let's try and do some near the greenhouse. Okay, here seems like a good spot to try something out. Let me see what I can get going. I'm thinking maybe we do some sort of enclosement on this side of the greenhouse using the spruce slabs and the spruce logs, but maybe I'll strip these just to be, you know, more matchy with the palette we have going. Let me try and lay out some sort of shape first of all. I kind of like this, but it needs to be closer over here ending instead of all the way over here to the wall. Okay, it's a bit of an odd shape, but I think I like it, and when we get the flowers in, it won't matter so much. Now I'm gonna go ahead and replace some of the slabs here with some of the logs and just strip them to give a bit more of shape to the area. Okay, I guess we can start off like this. The plan is basically all the tall flowers is gonna go over here, and we're gonna gradually go to the shorter ones as we come more near the front. So for tall flowers, we got rose bushes and sunflowers. Now, sunflowers, which way they're facing? That way, which isn't amazing actually now that I think about it. So maybe we'll pass on these and do the rose bushes. So we'll do kind of a gradient is what I'm thinking. So we'll start off with the rose bushes, then go to the red tulips, then go for the more white flowers like the white tulips, go to the oxeye daisies and the azure bluets, and then we're gonna go to dandelions and wildflowers. This is gonna be more the back, I guess. And we're gonna get some red tulips in the mix. And now we're just mixing the white in, and I'm really liking how it's looking so far. Flower bed complete, and I'm really liking how it looks. The gradient is nice, the location is nice, and it works really well with the rest of the area. Now, time to see where else I can make some more. Maybe over here in front of the greenhouse as well. But maybe I won't do an actual enclosement like I did over here. I'll just put the flowers in front. Okay, another flower bed done. It looks also really cute, especially with all the greenery that we have going in this area. It complemented very nicely. Now, this area desperately needs some greenery because it's looking very flat. Ooh, actually another idea. I should go get some bone meal. That would be really amazing for the area so we can get some grass going as well. Back to the storage room we go. Let's take a look. Do I have any bone meal left? I have 2 pieces of bone. I guess that's something. Oh, I could just make a composter and make more. That's no big deal. Just plop it over here. And I believe we have a bunch of leaf litter, which I can just easily make some bone meal for. See, this is how you make some bone meal when you don't have the time to make farms. Okay, 17 pieces. I think I can work with that. Actually, now that we're here, I'm gonna try do some here because the sunflowers are facing this direction, so this could be a good place to put it. Sunflowers all over this area will do. And I'll mix in some dandelions and wildflowers to make this all completely yellow and white palette. Okay, a little flower field here looks really adorable. Let's go back to the museum and see what we can get going over there. So, do I do a small flower bed going from this post over here all the way here, or do I do a huge one running along the pathway? It would be really cute, but then I don't want it to block the actual thing, so I think I'm gonna go for a small one rather than a large one. Okay, and now we do the flowers once again. Since we already have a lot of red over here and like all over the build, I think the main flower that I used was actually roses. I'm gonna avoid using it for these flower beds. Okay, really cute. I just want to do the exact same thing I did earlier and select some to be more elevated. So I could just keep adding more and more flowers, but I think we're at a decent point right now where we can stop and look at what else we have to do for today. Let's take a look on what is left. So flower beds have been complete. I say that we focus on the ponds now, and we have one right here that I think could look really amazing if we do just a little bit of tweaking to it. First of all, gravel's gotta go. Not an amazing look in my opinion. Okay, so we're gonna start off with some drip leaf, I think. Already looking really cute so far. I'm just gonna add some more details to it and it's going to look better than ever. There we go. I think that's looking really adorable. I also added like a mini waterfall here. It doesn't really connect to like any big water source, but that's going to be something that I'll focus on another episode of doing. But aside from that, I think it looks really cute. I did a lot of detailing with a bunch of different flowers. I did some firefly bushes, and I even hid some frog lights underneath the moss carpets to light up the area. Which I think brings us to the next task, lighting up the area. We need to do that, but like on the entire base, so we have less mobs spawning. Since I'm not using really moss as the grass, I'm thinking we'll try and hide this wherever we can, like behind trees, behind lampposts, just so it's not too visible. Just minor little things going around to make this a lot more bright. Problem is, since it's not nighttime right now, I don't know what areas need to be lit up or not, so I'm basically guessing and hoping for the best. Alright, so I did a bunch of carpet lighting all over the place, and there is one more thing that I thought could be really cool if we tried out. So, I have a bunch of lanterns right here, and I was thinking, let's go over to the flower beds that I made earlier and try and put these on top of the spruce logs that were stripped. So something like this, and I think it will look really adorable, not to mention it definitely will help light up the area. Yep, I like it. It looks really good. And the sun is setting, so we can take a look at how everything's gonna look at nighttime. Alright, how is everything looking? Okay, definitely a lot brighter. I like that. Still, of course, there are some patches missing, but I think overall it's looking a lot nicer. See, those areas there are definitely brighter. Maybe along the pathway here we need to get something in. Over here the bridge is totally fine. But you know what? I could pick at it all day, but I think overall it's looking a lot nicer. And I don't see any mobs really spawning too close, so that's a good thing. And that's probably the most important reason that I'm doing this. Oh, well, over there there's a creeper, but like I said, that area needs a little bit of work. Alright, we've done a good job clearing the signs. We're left with 3 tasks, the interiors and then the well fountain areas, which honestly, I think this is going to be for next episode because I have a bigger idea of what I want to do, so we're going to focus on doing the interiors now. Of course, let me just go do a real quick storage run and put everything away properly since I just organized the place. Alright, I've refreshed my inventory with all sorts of blocks needed to do the interior of my starter house. And honestly, this shouldn't be too difficult considering we do not have much space to work with, but I'd like it to be a lot nicer than it currently is, because right now it is very empty. So for the museum, the first thing that we need to take care of is deciding where everything goes, because it is quite a large structure and I do have a lot of items that have to go everywhere. So that's why I figured we'll start off by labeling everything where it's meant to go using item frames and signs. Okay, so This is what we're working with. We have 2 wings on the first floor, as well as these areas over here. On the second floor, we have this huge open area, and once again, 2 more wings, and then of course we have the third floor. I think I'm gonna make these areas kind of like lounge chairs kind of style thing, so I'm thinking we can start off with the exhibits on the wings. So this wing here, I think I'm gonna use for the armor stands, and on this I'll have different kinds of armor on display, including the cosmetic armors and the regular armors. And then this wing here, I'm not sure, maybe heads or something like that. Okay, well, I have armor stands, so let me start with this one here. Something like this on the window sills will be nice, so we can have a total of 8 different displays. As an alternative, what I could do instead is make both of these wings for armor, and one of them can be dedicated to the regular armor, and the other one could be for the cosmetic armor. I think that makes more sense, since I can't really put heads on the windows, because I feel like that would be a bit odd, and I could only use these 2 walls. So I think that's what we're gonna end up doing. Okay, these wings are all prepped, I guess. Let's go upstairs and deal with the main floor, which this is gonna be complicated. I'm thinking this area here could be used for important things, like display case kind of style thing, so I have a bunch of different blocks that we can try and do that with. Something like that, I suppose, and then we're just gonna figure out what goes on top there. Okay, so when you walk up the stairs, you have this exhibit right in your face, and then you can just walk around to see the one over here as well. And I think that looks really cool. Of course, it kind of does interfere with this pathway because you're going to have to go around, but it's the only way that I'll be able to fit 2 of them. So we'll see if we can work with it. And worst case scenario, if I end up not liking it, I'll just remove it. Alright, then we have the side wings, which I'm not even sure what I'm going to use for yet, so I'll circle back to this later. Then this area here is mostly just for show and decor, to be honest. There's nothing really that we're going to use these areas for, but the third floor I'm thinking is going to be for like generic Minecraft items. So I'm just going to set up some lodestones where we can place items on top of later on. I think that's pretty much it. I'm not doing something too big as in for interior today because the actual placing of the items and collecting that is going to be another episode, but I think I have a better idea of where everything is going to be when it's all laid out. And with that, there is one more thing I'd like to do before we end off the episode. So I can take these 2 off the board, and this we're going to leave for next time, but I want to go ahead and do the area over there with the sand because that's going to bother me otherwise, and I think it's best to get it out of the way. Luckily, I have plenty of dirt from all the different projects I've been doing, so we should be able to remove all the sand and replace it with this, and hopefully eventually it's going to all turn into grass once it spreads. Okay, so I'm not going to even bother touching that sand hill because that's going to be a whole thing on its own, but I want to do this entire area, this little island in the middle, and of course this area here where I mentioned earlier, there's just kind of big giant crater. Well then, let's not waste any time and get right into it. This, my friends, is looking like a lot of dirt. The grass is taking forever to spread all over the place, but once it does, I think it will look amazing. And now that it's all properly terraformed, I can kind of see what we have working here and what I can eventually do here in the future. Now, this is looking like a really clear board. We did so much today. All these minor tasks really add up, and I think it all contributes to make it a more beautiful place here in the kingdom. And I think that's all for today, so thank you all so much for watching this episode of Interstellar SMP. I truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, please consider leaving a like and subscribe if you're new, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Goodbye!